I got the chance to drive a Model Y Performance the other day. A friend of mine allowed me to take his for a drive. Here's what I thought. Just before I start, I made a few comments in the commentary that I was running. I'm going to correct the couple of little mistakes that I made by putting it up on the screen. I misheard the information that my friend gave me. The one that comes to mind was he came back from Geraldton to Carrinup, which is 407 kilometres, and he went from 98% to 3%, or about 16 kilometres left. He left Geraldton at 90% and got to the Carrinup superchargers at 3% or 16 kilometres or thereabouts. So I'll put that up on the screen and do a quick calculation on screen as to its actual range. Here we are in a friend of mine's Model Y Performance model that he's just got, and he's let me take it out for a test drive. Thank you, Rob. Appreciate it. It's just like my Model Y, which is only a rear-wheel drive standard range, but there's a couple of extra little things that are on this Model Y. There's obviously in the software, you can set it to track mode, and when you plant your right foot, it does tend to go a little bit faster. So we'll look at doing that in a minute, but we're going to take it off for a test drive. The normal wheels that come with the Performance, he's actually taken those off and put on the standard Model Y tyres, which are 19-inch. He said it makes for a much better ride, and because they are 5 or 6 kilos lighter each tyre, he's saved 22 kilos in weight, which should make a bit of a difference. I won't be able to tell the difference myself because he's got the same tyres and rims as I've got, but the suspension in this, I think, is the slightly newer suspension, so it's supposed to be a little bit softer. Honestly, I've only driven it for a couple of minutes. A few little bumps and anomalies in the road, and yeah, it doesn't feel any different. I drove my Model Y rear-wheel drive to his place, and yeah, I haven't noticed a big difference. I'm sure I'll notice it in a minute when I get somewhere and I can put my foot down. There's a lot of traffic around here at the moment, so I won't be doing it here, but we'll go off down this road here. Oh, he's got the indicator set up slightly differently to me. So we'll just cruise slowly down here, and when we get to the 90 zone, which is happening about now. Oh! Yes. Okay. That's a big difference. Oh, I like it. Oh, wow. That is a huge difference to my rear-wheel drive. I think this will do 0 to 100 in 3.7, and mine is at least 3 seconds slower. So that is a massive difference. So I'm doing about 75. Whoa! Yeah. I want one. That is a big difference. Unfortunately, my wife won't let me have one for the simple reason, why spend an extra 30 grand for a bit more top speed and acceleration? I still can't convince her. Even when I put her in the passenger seat and boot it, she goes, "What's the point?" Some people have just got no idea, have they? All right, so he's got traffic aware cruise control. He hasn't got enhanced autopilot on this, so it won't steer itself. So basically the car is the same, except it's got the Brembo brakes with the red covering to the brakes, and that is metallic, despite what some people have been saying that it's plastic. Bull dust, it's actually metallic. I've gone and touched it and clicked it myself. And yeah, the tyres, well, he's put standard tyres on this, not the performance tyres, which are a lot softer. The screen is the same. I got into this and I went to try to turn it because I've got the screen turned in, because this is now feeling quite wrong with the screen there. They really should angle the screen in a little bit to the driver. So that's the first thing I did, was try and turn the screen to face me, but he doesn't have that adjuster. Oh well, I think Tesla need to put those in, because I really like mine like that. So basically, look, everything is the same. The brakes and tyres are different. It's got track mode and it accelerates a lot faster. Otherwise, ride-wise, as I say, I don't notice much difference, if any, from my rear-wheel drive Model Y. As I said, it's got the same tyres on, and the suspension is supposed to be the slightly improved suspension, I believe. I can't be 100% certain on that, but just bouncing around in it, it's probably about the same. It seems to be a stock standard Tesla with what I would term a bit more of a smile factor or grin factor, because when you put your foot down on this, it does give you that feeling. I really do quite like it. When I've been in a Model 3 Performance, that gives you the same feeling. That may even be a slightly faster acceleration than this, but oh boy, this is really very, very nice. So we're up here, we'll head off and we'll go back down this road. Then I'll find a bit of a bumpy road somewhere and see how it fares on that. This has got a few bumps on it. No, it's not too bad. So I've got to remember, in this one he hasn't got the indicator set to the same way as I have. He's got it adjusted to his liking. I'm not going to adjust any of the settings at all. I've just adjusted the rear view mirror so I can actually see out from my driving position. So from an economy point of view, it's not too much different to the rear wheel drive. Oh yes, I love it. So this has got a 77 kilowatt hour usable battery, and it's supposed to have about 530 on the WLTP. Mine's got a 60 kilowatt hour battery, and it's supposed to give it about 453 or whatever kilometer range. Now my actual range on the way I drive, it's just over 400 kilometers. This one is, if you drive it carefully enough, you'll get over 400 kilometers. So the owner of this went up to Geraldton and back, and he got 407 kilometers, which is from the Geraldton, the new Geraldton WA government EV network charger, down to the Carron Tesla supercharger. That's 407 kilometers, I believe, and they left with about 98% and they got there with about 3%. So that's 407, add another 5% onto that, which is not too much more than my car for 30,000 Australian less. Well, there you go. There's a fair difference in the price. The long range, which is now available in WA, is actually halfway So it's about $14,000 to $15,000 price difference from mine to the long range, and another 15,000 difference from the long range to this, which is the performance model. Out of the two, if you were going to get something for the extra 20 or 30 kilometers, then I think the long range is the way to go. It accelerates much faster than the rear wheel drive, not quite as fast as the performance. So that to me is a very reasonable price point. In Australia, it's also under the luxury car tax. So there's additional benefits from that. If you do a novated lease, the company that gives it to you, they'll get extra fringe benefits, tax allowances. You can claim all sorts of extras. Once you go to the performance, you won't get a lot of those extras, so you're actually worse off. The rear wheel drive is obviously well in with that extra benefits from a tax point of view. I don't fully understand novated leases. I am not a financial consultant, so take everything I say here with a big grain of salt, because I could be completely wrong. Now he's got on this 78%, and it says 369 kilometer range. So I'm going to go off here before we get up to that horrible roundabout, and we'll go through a few of the back streets round here and see how it fares. Because I do believe some of the roads around here are a little bit more bumpety. So we'll go left to start off with. Forgot the indicator is different to mine setup. Remember indicator, duh. All right. So I did notice he's got it set to hold, so the regen braking is in. So 78%, 369 kilometers. I'll do a bit of maths and I'll put it up on the screen hopefully as to what that's supposed to be with a 90% and 100%. So with the NMC battery, I think this is an NMC, not NCA, you should only charge it to 90%, not 100. You only take it to 100% when you want to take it out on a long drive. So the idea is charge it up overnight to 90%, and an hour or so before you want to leave, get it charging again, and it will get close to 100%, and then you go. You don't leave it overnight at 100%. Doing it the odd time is no big deal, but it's just not ideal for the battery. So this road's got a few bumps in it. Yeah, actually it may be slightly better. I think the suspension has improved. It is slightly softer. I'll put a comment up if when I get back in my car and I drive home, and I'll see if it's any different. But I do think now, having driven it for quite a few more minutes, that this is a little bit better on the drive. So I use the traffic aware cruise control a lot. Every time I can, I'll just whack on the cruise control. That way you're not going to get into any trouble with those gentlemen and ladies in blue. And I've so far got 0 points on my license, and I want to keep it that way. Right, so this road's a bit uneven. You can probably see it's bumping around a little bit. Yeah, I do think it's slightly softer. It's not hugely different. It is slightly softer. Otherwise, I mean, everything else is the same. The seat, it's the same seat. It's the same driving position. It's the same steering wheel, same rear view mirrors. As I said, the only differences are the tyres, the brakes, the acceleration, track mode, and so on. So here in Australia, the standard rear wheel drive is just over 70,000 in Western Australia. The performance model is just close to 100,000, and the long range is about 85,000. It's about halfway between. So, as I said, out of the three, I think that the long range is preferential to the performance. My personal opinion, it'll still give you a bit of a smile factor when you accelerate, no problems there. But you only would go for that. Hey, look at that, someone pulled across in front and the car decided to put on the brakes without any help from me. You've got to love some of the safety features in these cars. So yeah, safety features are very, very good. And it's the one reason, if you're thinking of safety and you've got a family, you should get a Tesla. So to go back, yeah, out of the long range and the performance, I think the long range is the better deal. You save 15,000, you miss out a little bit on the acceleration. It's about 4.7 seconds, give or take, instead of 3.7. And don't you pull out, oh dear. Oh, you probably saw that. There's nothing behind me, by the way, absolutely nothing behind me. She could have waited 1 second and that would have been fine. So I'll also get some pictures of the actual tyres that come with this car that my mate Rob's taken off. And we'll get some pictures of the tyres that are actually on here when I get back to his place. This, as I said, stock standard Model Y with a big smile factor. So we'll head back to my mate's place now. I don't need a huge test drive on this because I've already got a Model Y. The difference with this is, as I've already mentioned, a few things. We've got to think about the suspension. As I've said, the first impression was not much difference. But now I just get an impression that it is slightly better. So they have gone and improved the suspension in this model. And that would also be in all models. So all up, very, very nice car. I mean, all Teslas are. I had a Model 3 before. But this, in my opinion, out of all three that are now available, rear wheel drive, long range and performance, I think the rear wheel drive is the best value for money because it's got a lithium iron phosphate battery in, which you can charge to 100% and get the full 400 and a bit kilometer range. Whereas the long range and the performance have got NMC or NCA type batteries, and you can only charge those to 90%. So you will only get just over 400 kilometers of range. You will get more when you pump it up to 100% for a journey. But as I said, several people I know with the performance Model Ys drove all the way up to Geraldton and all the way back for the opening of the new WA EV highway with the new chargers that they put in up there. And they did from 98 down to about 3 to 5%, 407 kilometres. Now, I don't know what was happening with the wind. There was no rain. So, yeah. If you want to have a grin factor, get the long range or the performance. If you just want a decent car with a decent range, then go for, no, I don't want to go down there, I want to go down here. Go for the rear wheel drive, because honestly, it's not all that hard. Oh, this is a nice bumpy road. I'm glad I went wrong and came down this road, because it does have a fair bit of bumpiness about it. There we go. As I said, overall impressions, it's a stock standard Tesla, and the smile factor in this is a lot more. And if that's what you want, good on you if you can afford it. For me, I'm umming and ahhing. It would be nice, but yeah, I don't think so. My wife is dead against it. So that's the 275, which is the rear. The front is a 255 35 R21. So they can't be rotated. You can't do a wheel rotation on them. Here we have the standard wheel without the aero covers, and as you can see, it's got the red Brembo brake caliper there, and I can assure you that is metallic. So there we have it, the Model Y Performance. Grin factor 10 out of 10. I hope you enjoyed that. So thanks very much for watching. Don't forget, can you click that like and subscribe button below? It does help the channel and it helps inspire me. And I'll see you all very soon.